worm. Look at that, everybody. It's got a caterpillar. Wild spotted VM. You saw the hornbill. It's a beautiful yellow-billed hornbill. But look at that. Oh, and it's finished. Just as quickly as that. See, it was using its beak, that very long yellow beak, to hit the caterpillar on the stick or on the tree, and that is to kill the worm or the caterpillar, and then just open its beak and throw it down the hatch. Nice bit of breakfast for the hornbill. And off it goes. Wow, that was amazing. That was really great. Fantastic to see how different animals need to get food. We're speaking about hyena, how they steal food from other animals or they hunt, and then a hornbill caught a caterpillar right next to us. That is really, really special. Let's go back to my friend James and see what he's up to, and maybe he has a hippo in the dam. I'm not too sure.
Good morning, the little girls of Madam Creel and Madam McConnell's class this morning. I hope you're all very well, and a special welcome to Krithika Patha, whose father is a very good friend of mine. Krithika, thank you for your message last night. I hope that you're enjoying our little safari this morning. Now, one of the things that you must never do, of course, in the wilderness is touch too much poo. I've got two kinds of poo here to show you, and it's a bit disgusting, I suppose you might think, but it's not too bad because this poo, of course, has been very dried, and it's only grass. It's from herbivores. We would never pick up the poo of, say, a lion or a hyena because that would be disgusting. Look inside there, and you can see there, this is very old buffalo dung, and this very old buffalo dung is very finely chewed. The buffalo like to chew their food very well, and what people used to do out here, and still do in some rural areas, is you can use buffalo dung to cover the walls of your house, so your homes are covered with cement. You can use buffalo dung if that's all you've got, and you won't believe it, but it smells really nice. My name is James. On camera is Dave, and Dave likes to smell things in the bush as well. Have a smell of that, Dave.
Thanks, James.
Not bad, is it?
Not bad at all.
I bet you didn't think that you were going to learn about good smelling poo when you came on Game Drive with us this morning. Now, yesterday I said to you all that we were very, very lucky because we saw cheetah, and we saw lions, and we saw elephants, and we saw all sorts of different things. Today is much more quiet, and that's just how it happens in the wilderness. Now, let's look at this elephant dung. Can you see the difference? See the different things that elephants eat? They eat lots of different kinds of things. They eat wood. There's lots of wood in there. That's a big twig from what we call a buffalo thorn tree. There's a leaf. Now this leaf, look at the size of this leaf. It's come through the elephant almost without being chewed, so it just swallowed the leaf whole. See that? And you can also see here what season it is. See, that's an autumn leaf or a winter leaf. You can see that it's brown, it's not green anymore. So elephants eat lots of different kinds of things, wood and leaves and grass and pods and fruits. And they're really good soccer balls if you don't have a soccer ball. Now, while you were with Byron looking at that hornbill, we heard a lion calling just over there, and it was going, oh, 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 oh. Shall we see if we can find it? Come, let's go and have a look. I don't know if we're going to. We might be lucky, we might not. A lion call, unlike our voices, you know that your voices can travel quite far. So if you are just thinking of where you sit at Rodine, if you are on the main field there, you can probably hear people calling or shouting at the swimming pool. You can hear them shouting. That's not too far away, but a lion's call would call, you'd be able to hear it calling all the way. I'll tell you how you know this. So if you were at St. John's, for example, across the road, all the way at the top in the college there, if there was a lion calling there, you'd be able to hear it in your classroom. That's how loud their voices are, which I think is really amazing. Now, good morning, Lucy. Very clever question from you. You say, did the lions finish eating their buffalo yesterday? They're on Cheetah Plains. Lucy, they did, and they went away. We don't know where they are now. And that's the thing about the wild out here. We wake up every morning, and every day is a new day, and things have moved on. So yes, they finished their buffalo, and the vultures are still there, I think, but the buffalo's gone, and so are the lions. I don't know where they are, but maybe one of the females is just up here. So we heard her calling down over there just before I saw you, so we're going to go up onto another road around that area and see if we can't see her. And what we'll do also, remember that you've got different senses in your body. You've got 5 different senses. You've got touch, that's what you can feel. You've got smell, that's what goes through your nose. You've got hearing, you've got your eyes, and you've got taste. Now in the wilderness out here, taste and touch, not quite so important if you're looking for animals, but if you're looking for animals, your eyes are obviously very important, but your ears are hugely important, because you can hear animals making different noises, and your sense of smell is also very good, because animals smell different. And although our noses aren't so very strong, like say the lions and the hyenas and various other animals, they're not too bad. And so you've got to use your nose and see if you can smell things. So for example, if you're walking through the bush and you smell something that smells like a dairy, you know what a dairy is, don't you? Where we get our milk from. Well, if you smell something that smells like a dairy, you know that there must be a buffalo around. So you've got to be very careful. You've got to listen, see if you can hear him grazing, or look carefully to see if you can see his horns.
Groups, the little mongoose, the dwarf mongoose. It's the smallest mongoose we have. Look at that red nose. Very cute, very curious. Look how he's watching us. I hope James washes his hands before breakfast. I know he's been playing with some dung or poop over there. So these little dwarf mongoose live inside these termite mounds. So that's a nice big home for these dwarf mongoose. They do sleep underground, so they can use either these termite mounds or other little burrows or holes that they will have. Zaina has asked us a question about the hornbill we saw earlier. And she has asked, why do birds like to eat caterpillars? So Zaina, for some birds, and different birds feed on different things. Some birds like seeds and little grass seeds that they can find. Some like to feed on fruit. Some like to feed on insects. So those that like to feed on insects, if they find a nice big juicy caterpillar, it is a lovely bit of food for them. And a caterpillar is quite tasty for some birds. So they do like to feed on them, especially those hornbills like we saw earlier. These dwarf mongoose are enjoying the sun, trying to warm up. It's been quite a cold morning, so they're sitting right out in the sun, warming themselves up. So Pragnia has asked us a funny question. She has asked, where are all the animals at the moment? Are they still sleeping? So Pragnia, they're probably not sleeping, but it has been a cold morning, so maybe they're still looking for a bit of shelter in amongst the trees, trying to stay out of the open, waiting for the sun to warm them up so that they'll start moving around. The animals, however, are always around. The thing is, we just occasionally struggle to find them. These are wild animals. You don't know where they are going to be or what they are going to do. We try our best to find them, but sometimes they do hide away from us. But I'm sure we'll get something else popping out a little bit later. But luckily, we've seen these beautiful dwarf mongoose. Oh, they're so cute, aren't they? Naila has asked us a question about a dwarf mongoose and how much it weighs. Naila, I'm going to double check in my book quickly exactly how much it weighs. I am not sure. I don't think it's very much at all. Let's see. The dwarf mongoose. Let's see if they've got about 220 grams or 350 grams. Now I'm trying to think. Viam, what do you think weighs about the same as that? A can of Coke? What's a can of Coke? 200,
No, yeah.
220
It's 350 mils.
350 mils. Does it weigh grams? No. You've stumped us.
2 packets of Simba chips.
2 packets of Simba chips. There we go.
Big ones.
So, similar to the size of maybe a big hamster. But yeah, a few packets of Simba chips. That's how much a dwarf mongoose weighs. But if I can show you quickly how big it is, just to give you a bit of perspective, if I was holding a little dwarf mongoose, it would only be about this big. Not very big at all, very, very small. So that's how big they would be. With the tail, they may be a little bit longer, about that long with the tail. But the body is only about that big, very, very small. So they're not very heavy at all. I think they'd probably make cute pets, but the problem is, if you get one, you'd have to have a whole family, because they are always in family groups. And you can have 15 to 20, sometimes more in a family group. So Madison just asked a question that I think I answered for you, Madison. They do live together, these mongoose. So they will live in a family of about, with the dwarf mongoose, maybe 15 to 20, sometimes more, sometimes less. We have another species of mongoose, a little bit bigger than these, called the banded mongoose. And they are also in big family groups, maybe 30 or 40. With the other species of mongoose, we do also get mongoose species around here that live alone. And those are the slender mongoose and the yellow-tailed mongoose, or the yellow mongoose. And what else do we get here? White-tailed mongoose, which is the biggest mongoose. They are also usually by themselves or maybe in pairs with one other one. But these ones are always in big groups, the dwarf mongoose. Lovely to see them out in the open. They are being very, very kind to us this morning. So Sasha's asked us, what do these little mongoose eat? So Sasha, these mongoose will feed on insects, mainly insects, but they also feed on little reptiles, maybe little lizards or little snakes if they can find them. Not really big snakes, they're a bit small for that, but mainly insects. They mainly feed on insects. We used to tease James a lot a few years ago. We would often say to James, when he would ask us, what do these animals eat? We would say, no, they eat fruit, nuts, and mice. It doesn't matter what it was that he asked us, and we used to tell him, no, they eat fruit, nuts, and mice. He used to get so cross with us. So he would say, what does an elephant eat? So we'd say fruit, nuts, and sometimes mice. And he would get very upset with us. We know that that's not true. The elephant eat vegetation, grass, trees, and bark. But that question made me laugh and made me think of James asking a question about what animals eat. So if James had asked me that, I would tell him fruit, nuts, and mice. But the dwarf mongoose only eat insects and other little reptiles, but mainly insects. They love feeding on insects. So Zippo has asked us, are there any meerkats in the park? Now, the meerkat does fall under the mongoose family, but Zippo, no, we don't have meerkats here. They are found in drier areas, drier parts of South Africa, and up into certain parts of Botswana and Namibia. They like almost desert-like conditions, so very dry areas. Not here, not in the Kruger National Park where we are. Let's get back to my friend James and see what he has got. Hopefully he's not playing with more dung.
I'm not playing with any more dung, everyone, but I've come into this area because we did find the lion tracks. You know, we heard them or saw them on the ground. Somewhere around here, this lioness made that call that she made just before I saw you. We've had no luck. So let's just quickly look over here. And we'll just be very careful. There could be a lioness lying anywhere under any of these bushes. But let's just look over here. This, of course, is mud, but only when it's very wet, when the rain comes. And what do you think made something this big? What kind of animal do you think came and made this amazing, what we call a pan? It's called a pan. Well, you can see, watch where I put my foot now. Can you see my foot, Dave?
Yes.
Look where I put my foot. Now, I don't have a very big foot. It's bigger than your feet, but it's not very big. But that has made that big hole there was probably an elephant with an enormous foot. So you can see all around here, the buffalo and the elephants and the rhino, they like to come and lie in this area when it's very hot in the summertime. Now let's just have a quick look inside here. And this mud is the best kind of mud. You know what mud's like. Mud is the best when it's wet and you can play in it and you can spread it on your face and it feels quite nice. Anyway, that's what mud looks like when it's very dry. See? And the animals put that all over their skins in the same way that your mother puts cream on your skin and probably on her own skin. And they do the same with the mud to help them with their skin, and it keeps them safe from the sun sometimes, especially if you're a hippo or a rhino or something like that. Then this mud protects the skin from the sun. Now I can't hear anything else about this lion, so we're going to go round the way and see if we can't find her. Maybe she's gone onto another road close by here. Now remember, when you're out here, it's not always that dangerous to walk around. You just have to be a little bit careful. You have to be very careful and then look around the place. Ooh, sounds like Herbert has found something. I'm just quickly going to ask Herbert for an update. No, never mind. Okay. Sorry, can we have that question again, Louise? Go ahead, Herbert. Sorry, everyone. Ah. Okay, copy. I'm close by. I'll make my way there. We've got a very special chance, everybody, to see two little baby leopard cubs. So we're going to head that way. Oh, well, Byron's there. Great stuff. So Byron's going to go to those leopard cubs. So with any luck, we'll have this soon. Byron, you go ahead. No problem at all. So, it was a question about why it is that lions are so lazy. Well, all cats are pretty lazy. I know that some of you have got cats at home, and you know that those cats do almost nothing all day long. They just lie about the place. Well, one of the big reasons is that they only eat meat, lions, and you know meat is tasty. It's very good if you're trying to build lots of muscles, but it's not so good if you are if you want to move around a lot. So you know that if you want to move around a lot, you've got to eat a lot of fat, and you've got to eat maybe some fruit, and that helps you if you're going to do your cross-country running. If you're going to swim in a gala or something like that, then that's the sort of thing you eat. But if you eat only meat, like a lion eats only meat, then it's very difficult to move around a lot. And that's why lions are lazy. But they are very lazy. I know some people who are that lazy too, you know. Now we're just going to look again for these lionesses while Byron, who's hopefully quite close by, gets to those leopard cubs. And it will be very, very special if we're able to see them. That will make our day. Alright, let's head back to Byron. I think he's moving into that area where the leopards are.
Right, we have heard that the two little cubs, leopard cubs, are around here. Let's have a look, everybody. I'm going to drive very slowly. I hope the mother is with them too. Let's have a look. All right, let's have a look here. Let's have a look here. Oh, there we go. There they are. Can you see them? They're just on the ground. Look at that. Fantastic. Look at the little cubs, everybody. They are warming up in the sun too. Not sure where the mom is. She's maybe lying down at the bottom. But these two little ones, oh, this is great. And they seem very relaxed with us around them. Don't want to go too close, don't want to disturb them. But they are very happy lying out in the open, in the sun, warming up. Aren't they beautiful? This is a little male and a female cub. Little boy and a girl. And they are about 4 months, almost 5 months old. So getting quite big, already eating a lot of meat that their mother is able to catch for them. So if she goes off and hunts and makes a kill, she will come back, call the cubs, and take them to whatever it is that she has killed so that they can eat. She has been a very successful mother. She has been able to look after them and get them to this age. When they are very young, they are vulnerable to other predators. It's not always easy for leopard cubs or even lion cubs for that matter. So for a female leopard to look after the cubs and get them to this age, she has done very, very well. Look at those beautiful eyes. I hope all you young girls at Rodin are enjoying this. This is very, very special. They look almost like they're very lazy. They're just lying out, resting. No need for them to move off anywhere. That one's playing with some grass on the branches in front of its face. We are so lucky to be able to see these little cubs, or up in a tree. They can rest up there, or on the ground where they are at the moment. They'll sleep anywhere. When they are very young, and just after the female has given birth to them, they will sleep maybe in a little den site that the female has picked out for them. That could be anything, like a dense thicket of bushes and trees that's very difficult to get into, or maybe in some rocks that she can hide the cubs. So any little den site where she can hide the cubs and keep them safe, she will hide them there for the first month to a month and a half, and then she might move them around to different areas, and the older they get, the more she will move them around. And now they don't have a den site, not at this age. She will move them wherever she goes, and then leave them for a short while. If she goes to hunt, she will come back and call them, take them to the food once she has got something. But in the meantime, they can rest anywhere they like. And already at this age, they can climb trees very, very well. This is so special, everybody. Trying to chase some flies. So, little Maddie has asked us, how long do leopards live for? So, Maddie, they will live for about 15 years to 17 years old. So not very long compared to us and how long people live. But for a leopard, that is a good lifespan. So about 15 years to 17 years old. Sasha has asked me where the mommy leopard is. I'm not too sure, Sasha. I haven't seen her. We are right on the edge of a little embankment or a little drainage line, and she may be down at the bottom somewhere, and we just can't see her. I don't want to drive around too much because I don't want to disturb the little cubs. They are very relaxed at the moment, and we have to be very sensitive around them. When they are young, we want to make sure that they become used to the vehicle and not scared of the vehicle. So I'm not going to drive around too much to look for the mom. If we're lucky, she may pop out while we are sitting here. She may be around, but I haven't seen her yet. So Morgan has asked us, can the baby cubs see when they're born? No, Morgan, they can't. They are blind. They are very, very helpless. They're completely blind, just like, I don't know if any of you have ever had a dog have puppies. And you see the little puppies, their eyes are closed, they're blind, they can't walk, they can't see. Same with these little leopard cubs. Very, very helpless, and the female has to be very careful and look after them for the first few weeks until their eyes open and they're able to move around a little bit more. But like I said, she will hide them in a den so no one or nothing can get to them. And they are very safe in there, and she will look after them until they're able to move. That little one yawning. And look how well camouflaged they are. You can hardly see that leopard through there if it wasn't moving so much. So Chrisika has asked, how much do these cubs weigh? Chrisika, when they're born, they are around 500 grams. So not very heavy at all. If we think about it, double the size of those dwarf mongoose that we saw earlier. But these cubs at this age now, I would guess, are a few kilograms. They are definitely much heavier than that. So I would guess maybe around 4 to 5 kilograms, somewhere around there, perhaps. And then when they get older, they will start weighing a lot more. So the female leopards, when they are grown up, will weigh around 30 to 40 kilograms. And the male leopards, when they are big, they weigh much more than that. They will weigh around 70 or 80 kilograms, which I think is about the same as what James weighs. So very, very big. I just asked if the mother leopard or the mommy leopard goes and makes a kill, does she take the cubs to the kill or does she bring the food to the cubs? So she will the cubs and she will take to the kill. It's easier for her to fetch the two little cubs that can walk and follow her as opposed to her fetching the kill and trying to drag it all the way to where they are. So she will take them to the kill to eat. Asked, where is the daddy leopard? So Tony, the daddy leopard or the male leopard, does not stay around the female when she has cubs. Only the female looks after the little cubs. The males do not. So he will be moving off in another area with looking after his territory, but he does not look after the little babies at all. How fantastic is this, everybody? So, so great. I'm so happy. So Lungelo has just asked us, how old are the leopard cubs when they start hunting for themselves? So Lungelo, when the leopard cubs get to about a year and a half on average, and that is when these little cubs, or by that stage they will be quite big, that is when they will leave the mom. The mom will then push them off and they have to go and look after themselves. So from that age they will have to hunt for themselves, but they start learning from about a year old. They may try and hunt little birds like francolin or a little mongoose. So from at least a year old, maybe even a bit earlier, they will start learning, but they will have to hunt properly for themselves from about 1.5 years old. Then they need to hunt to look after themselves. There is a squirrel in the tree above the leopard cubs, and he is making a lot of noise. He's not happy about those little leopard cubs lying underneath his tree. We can't really see him now. He's just hiding behind some branches, but I can hear him. So while these cubs are still lying down, and you see they've gone to rest, James has got much bigger animals with him at the moment. Go have a look.
Oh, we're so lucky today, everybody. Look at the elephants. Lots and lots of them. Please try and count them for me and tell me how many you can see. I'm going to count them on my own. And you count them as they go away from having their morning drink. They're going to go off into the bush and they're going to eat lots of leaves and bark like I showed you. And they're also going to drop lots of dung. And it's very important, that dung, for plants. It helps them to grow. Just like when your mother perhaps fertilizes the lawn or perhaps fertilizes her roses. I know my mum used to, round about this time of the year, put some disgusting smelling stuff on her roses in Johannesburg. All right, let's try and count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. I think there are about 40 elephants here. Look at them all moving around. Now, if you want to count them, the best thing to do is to watch them all walk past one place. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to see. Andrew, try and get hold of Byron. He'll help you in there. Isn't that lovely? Louise, please tell Byron to get hold of Andrew on the radio. Alright, ladies at Rodine, especially Madam Creel and Madam McConnell, and of course, special Krithika. I hope you guys have a wonderful day there at school. We're going to sit here with the elephants. My day is really looking really good. This is what I do for a living. Isn't that wonderful, to sit here with wonderful elephants and little leopard cubs for a living? Go and enjoy your mathematics and your English and your science and do well, and we'll hopefully see you again soon. Bye-bye. Alright, everybody, let us breathe a little sigh of relief out that David and I have managed to find something. Byron is just helping Andrew into that cub sighting, and seems like it's all rather stable there, which is nice. But I think it's interesting that Karula's clearly been away all night, and I suspected she might be. Hello, Carolyn. It sounds like you're a new viewer, and that's wonderful. Thank you for giving us your time to watch us, and mostly, of course, thanks for sending us a question. You say, do both male and female elephants have tusks, and what are they used for? Carolyn, African elephants, both male and female, have tusks, absolutely. Indian elephants or Asian elephants do not. So in the Asian elephant, only the male has got tusks. That tells you quite a lot about what they're used for. So tusks out here are used extensively for feeding. They're used to peel the bark off of trees. They're used to help snap pieces of grass and twigs from the bushes on which the elephants are feeding, and they are to a certain extent used for defense, and they can be, I mean, certainly if an elephant attacks something, that's what it's going to use. It's going to use its tusks to cause injury. Look at this magnificent herd of elephants. I think there must be 40 or 50 of them there. Isn't that brilliant? And Carolyn, the thing with elephant tusks, of course, is that they are so very variable. So you can see that herd is almost exclusively females and their youngsters. And they've all got tusks, and they're all different shapes and sizes. Now, I don't think an Asian elephant has got tusks, mainly because it's an area that has probably had fewer predators for elephants, and also they live largely in a forest area where the nutrients are greater than they are out here, and so they can just bite things off trees and use their trunks. They don't have the same need as our African elephants to sort of dig up roots and peel off bark and do all that sort of thing. They're the bank now, an enormous elephant bull. He's only...
So we're still sitting here, the little cubs haven't moved. They're still just at the bottom of the tree. Great to see them. Not sure, I think the little girls of Rodine have left us for the morning. So Martin has asked us a question. Does a male leopard recognize his offspring? Yes, Martin, they do. Just like lions do. They will most likely recognize the scent, and especially whether or not they've mated with that female. But I have seen male leopards recognize their offspring and their young. But females do still try and keep the cubs away from males, just purely because they get a little bit nervous. And they, a lot of the bigger cats can become a bit unpredictable, and especially if there's a kill around, they may become aggressive. So they've got to be careful with the little cubs. But they do recognize them, and I have seen cubs, even at an older age of a year and a half, interact with the father. And the only reason we definitely know it was the father is because we were able to see everything take place from the mating to the 90 days later, or it's generally 90 to 100 day gestation period for females, and we were then able to view the cubs, so we knew exactly which females or which female mated with which male, and got to see the interaction with the cubs and the father. So I have seen that happen before. Go ahead. Yeah, copy that, James. They're quite relaxed at the moment. I'm going to keep it to one vehicle. And there's no reason to off-road and disturb them. You can view them from the road. There are two vehicles on standby at the moment. I'm going to make space shortly for Andrew. He's going to move in, and Barbara on standby after that. So Arathusa has asked, can we tell male and female leopards apart by head shape or perhaps pattern, just like we can with the elephant? So Arathusa, at this age, no, it's very, very difficult. When they get older, though, you might be able to, and I think the more experience you have in seeing male and female leopards, it does become a bit easier. So what you can look for is the size, just overall size. The male has got a much rounder head and often gets a big dewlap forming under the throat, whereas the females have a smaller, slightly more slender head as opposed to a male. So yes, you can tell a difference by size the older they get when they are adults, but at this age you wouldn't be able to, not by just looking at them. You'd have to look very carefully and look for male or female genitalia. So Greg and Nevin have asked, how far will a mother leopard venture away from the cubs when she's hunting? It all depends when she finds food. She can move a few kilometers if she has to. She would try her best to hunt something within the area or close by. But I have seen leopards go and hunt a kilometer, at least almost 2 kilometers away from where the cubs are, and then go back and fetch them and take them to a kill if she isn't successful in the area. But she may try. Like I said, it's difficult. It's when she finds food and she's able to hunt, but she will venture quite a distance if she has to. So, like I say, it can be up to about 1 kilometer at times. If it's closer, it's beneficial for her and much better. It's really special. These cubs are so comfortable and so relaxed. To see that little belly as it's breathing in and out, and look at those beautiful rosettes already on this cub. When they're very young, those patterns aren't quite clear yet. They seem a little fuzzy, a little blurry. And then the older they get, those rosettes become very prominent and very clear. That squirrel has not stopped. Copy, Andrew. Make your way straight in. I'll just stand by in this area just to point out exactly where they are for you. We're going to try and get some other people into this area to have a look at these leopard cubs. We've been very fortunate to see them, but it is very, very special and very lucky. So we would like some of the other guests in the area to also see them while they're out on the safari. And because they are still very young, we have to be a bit sensitive. We don't want to have too many vehicles around them. As I said, we don't want to scare them or push them away. And at the moment, this is perfect. They're very relaxed, they're very calm, and don't feel threatened. They're still out in the open. And that is what we want. And then in the future, when they get older, we'll be able to have wonderful sightings of them to come. I think we're going to move away from them shortly, see what else we can find. What I think we should do is cross over to James. I think he had some impala that may have run away already, but go to James and we'll see you a little bit later.
Well, we did have a herd of impala here. Naturally, of course, they as they heard you were going to come and see them, they absconded into the bushes, which is unfortunately what tends to happen. I had a magnificent sighting of one young male here who looked at me, and I thought about taking my camera out, and then he ran away. Beastly little fellow that he is. Anyway, very glad we've got those cubbies there. I think it's fascinating that Karula's decided that she's spending more and more time away from them. Don't know where she is. I didn't see any tracks of her. Herbert obviously had some tracks and then lost them, but at least we have the little ones there, and that's great. Now, we are on Arathusa, and we're heading down what is known as Parallel Road. This is round about where I had hoped to spot Shadow the other day, but I gave up on that eventually after she thoroughly beat me. Now, I just saw a track that looked not entirely unlike a wild dog track, but it was on a piece of gravel, so difficult to tell. I've had no other updates from this area today, so we'll just see what we can find as we crawl gently towards the south. I always feel slightly different on Arathusa, but I suppose that's entirely psychological, given that the landscape is entirely the same. That big herd of elephants is heading south, looks like maybe towards the Djuma Dam, so if you are watching the Djuma Dam cam, please keep watching it. I think they're probably going to feed in the woodland there for a while, and then as the heat builds they may well either go back to Sydney's dam for another drink, or maybe they'll head for a mud bath at the Djuma Dam or the Gallagher Pan, so keep an eye out on the camera for the course of the day. I'm not convinced that David and I have found less than we've found today. Now Justin, what a great question from you. You've obviously been doing a bit of reading about this area. You say, why were wild dogs once considered pests? Well, the facetious answer is because human beings are so profoundly stupid. The less judgmental answer, which is the one I shall give you, is that they were considered to be vicious killers and wanton killers that created unnecessary pain for the animals that they killed, and therefore they didn't have the right to live. There were lots of them as well. And they also, when people brought domestic stock into this area, they took out quite a lot of domestic stock. Now we know for certain that, or almost for certain, that wild dogs are no more vicious at killing than any other animal out here, and in fact death obviously often ensues for their prey faster than it does for lions' prey, for example. So that is just simply not true, and even if it were true, it comes from that kind of 19th century attitude of the wild, where we thought we had the sort of moral high ground on which to judge how things should and shouldn't happen out here. It wasn't only wild dogs that were shot as vermin. Lions and leopards were often shot as vermin. And we're mercifully past those days, but it is one of the reasons that wild dogs are so endangered. Hello Elizabeth in Santa Monica, very nice to hear from you today. You say, are there any invasive species in the park, and how they affected the ecology? There are no invasive mammals, no. There are no exotic mammals at all. The exotic species that there are things like, are much smaller. They'd be difficult things to get rid of. Stuff like, sorry, my earpiece is really being irritating in my ear. So we've got, there's a snail, there's something called a banded snail that Steph discovered here the other day. We know that's invasive. Probably kills or outcompetes local snails. We know that there are a number of invasive plants that come down the rivers on a regular basis, and they're constantly being cleaned out. The rivers, of course, go out of the reserve into the communal lands and up into the mining areas, even to the west of the Drakensberg Mountains, and they bring with them all sorts of nasty plants and things that are constantly having to be cleaned out. So it's mainly plants. There are the odd bird species and the odd invertebrate species that we find around here, but it's not a major problem in the Kruger Park, no. And I can't think of any exotic mammals that live here and create a problem, other than, of course, domestic stock. And domestic stock will sometimes get into the park and they carry with them the different suite of diseases that the wild animals out here are simply incapable of dealing with, and sometimes that causes a real problem. And no more obviously so than with wild dogs, which, if they come into contact with domestic dogs, can get rabies from them, they can get canine distemper, they can get all sorts of nasty domestic dog diseases. There's an elephant. A little one right in front of us. Let's sneak closer. You see him there? There are a whole herd of them. Very nice. David, success at last is ours. Just listen to them feeding. Hello, Jester. You're wondering about danger and what the most dangerous animal in the park is. Yes, thank you, Louise. I've got it. So, Jester, your question being phrased slightly differently to me there. Jester, the most dangerous animal is something that I don't really like to discuss, and that's not because I'm so terrified of the animal. It's because I just don't believe that it's a valid description of any animal. Now, if you were on foot and you came across a hippopotamus and it was between you and you were between it and the water, then you would have the most dangerous animal, I suppose. It's an animal that becomes immediately threatened and immediately afraid because it cannot get to the water, and then they become quite dangerous. They are very likely to give you a bit of a charge, and I mean certainly they do kill apparently more people in Africa than any other mammal. So that's hippo. But do they do it because they're dangerous and aggressive, or do they do it because we make them feel uncomfortable? And almost exclusively, Jester, if an animal is attacking a human being, it's because they have been made to feel uncomfortable by us. They see us as predators, they are generally terrified of us, and if we corner them, if you corner a leopard or a lion, then it will attack you. If it has a way of getting away from you, 9.5 times out of 10, it will simply move away and leave you alone. Same with elephants. And elephants, of course, are potentially very dangerous. They're enormous. And if they don't like you being around, then they will often tell you. And sometimes they will chase you. But if you have been so... It's unusual that they should ever do something like that without warning you first. And if you don't heed their warnings, well, then you can get yourself into trouble. And so, Jester, we're sitting here now, and I know that there are elephants behind us, and I'm being very careful. I'm watching their behavior. I'm seeing what's going on out here. And there's one walking up behind us now, which you can't see. I'm just watching her behavior quite carefully. But because they're approaching us, we are not in any way driving around, making a big noise. We should be okay, but we'll watch their body language. So that little one you can see, or that one there, is now indicating a sense of irritation, but not with us. With that other little one off to the left. Now behind us there is a big cow, and she's lifted her head, she's raised her ears, which indicates that she is not that happy, but she's okay now. So she's just very aware. This entire herd of elephants is very aware of us. They're coming past now. We're just going to sit very quietly, everybody. This This is very special that they're just coming past us. You can see she's lactating heavily. That's her little calf there. She's now only about 3 feet from the vehicle. She's just saying stay where you are, which is what we're going to do. Can you hear them calling? Going, how awesome is that? I'm not going to move the car now. We're right in the middle of this herd of elephants. They're interacting with each other. They're fully aware of us. This is fantastic. Hello, Christopher, Arizona. You say when the elephants get a little ornery with us, we tend to raise our voices and make a noise and wave our arms. And you want to know if they're responding to our voices or our arms. Christopher, in my humble opinion, if you've got to the stage where you're having to shout at an elephant, you've probably missed a sign or two that it's asked you to go away. That said, I have been in the odd situation where I've got very close to an elephant by mistake, and it's noise. It's noise that makes them go like that. It's not so much the raising and waving of the arms, although they don't like that much either. There's a little elephant here. Right behind Dave. You can't get around it. Dave can't get round, everybody, I'm sorry. And I can't move the car now. So we're not going to move. And yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one, that question of, you know, what do you do if an elephant gets too close to you? Do you just try and move away? Do you start the engine? 9 times out of 10, if you increase the space between you and the animal, the situation dies down. It's exactly the same as if you get into a situation say you're in a bar. Davey, I'll reverse slightly. We might be able to get a better view. You're right there. You're okay. If you're in a bar and you come across somebody and you get into an argument with them, the quickest way to diffuse a situation like that is to just not be there anymore. And it's the same out here. And you do hear people say, well, you know, I had to stand up to the elephant, I had to show it who was boss. That's, I find, to be untrue. It's macho talk. It's if you move away from an animal that is threatened by your presence, you'll find 9 times out of 10, they will, the emotion of the situation will de-escalate. This has been an absolutely fantastic sighting, them walking just past the car. And I always feel slightly honoured in a sighting like this when they don't react badly to us. They don't, they just have a look quickly and then they carry on. Hello, Gilly in Wisconsin. Nice question from you. You want to know if the Indian or African elephants evolved from the mastodon, an ancient and very large mammal. Gilly, the mastodon, as far as I'm aware, probably had a common ancestor to the elephant and the African and Indian elephants. I don't think that this is a direct descendant of it. As far as I know, mastodons didn't die out that long ago, and I think you'll find that African elephants in their current form have probably been around for the last, probably almost half a million years, maybe. But I'm not entirely sure. Bad luck, David. David's just been attacked by his very own pair of headphones. Trials of life as a wildlife cameraman. Just listen to them move through the bushes here. It's just wonderful to hear them slipping through the woodland. Okay, we can move a little bit now. There's one young bull coming behind us. I'm just going to move back slightly. There we go. It'll probably be the last of them disappearing off. Wow, that was special. Very seldom that I see another animal and feel that level of satisfaction, and like I say, a sense of gratefulness and even honor, if you like. You enjoyed that, Dave?
Lovely.
Have you managed to recover from being attacked by your your cans, your headphones? He's okay, everybody. It's so many scarves around his neck. He's well protected. Alright, let's go back across to Byron and find out where he's heading. We're going to continue down south.
So we left Karula's 2 young cubs. I don't think she was in the area. I think she's gone off hunting. She may have left them early this morning, because we had a look around there briefly but didn't see anything, and as I said, we don't want to disturb them too much, so we moved off. Been driving through the dry riverbed here at the moment, just looking, see if we can't find any signs of either her or any other predators that may have walked through this area. It's always lovely driving through these riverbeds. Just trying to see, we've had a bit of a problem with our aerial, and it's fixed at the moment. It doesn't bend back, so I don't know how we're going to get under those trees ahead of us. And we can just drive around there quickly. Through there. Okay, let's have a look. No, it won't, huh? Nope. we can't get through because we are carrying our aerial. See quickly if I can get up here. There we go. Too soon to panic, able to get around. I think, why don't we pop out of the riverbed now for a bit? So James Richard has asked an interesting question. James Richard would like to know, in my opinion, what is the largest misconception about being a safari guide? James, I'm trying to think now. I think how it's evolved over time and how it's changed is that it is becoming more of an accepted and more acknowledged profession. You know, often people would maybe do it, young guys would come in and do it for a year, 2 years, maybe 3 years, and then move on again, you know, move back to the city life and, you know, earn a proper salary, as it were, and, you know, do what you're meant to do. But I think nowadays becoming a guide, and especially a professional guide, it is seen as more of an professional occupation now, which is good. You know, being a guide there's more to it than just the driving around and pointing animals out. There's so much more to it. You're an ambassador for South Africa or Africa. You are showcasing what these countries have to offer for people. So it's a very important role, I think. You really have got the ability to influence people's understanding of countries, people's understanding of wildlife and conservation. So it really, I mean, it's a vital role. I think it is a vital role, and I think, as I was saying, you're no longer just a person who drives around, points animals out, and explains a few facts about animals. You've got to, especially when you are guiding guests in lodges and that, you host them a lot of the time. You're with them. Excuse me. You're with them for most of the day, so you're discussing everything. You're discussing issues within the country. You're discussing, sport around the world. You're discussing other issues around the world, whether it be political or which, you never really get into it. We don't get into it on the show, obviously, but guests, when they're with you, they want to know your opinion and they want to discuss it. So we do. You're discussing everything. So there's so much more to being a guide and a professional guide. You're a host, you're an ambassador, you're everything, which I think some people don't understand. Excuse me, so sorry. Something has flown into my throat. Sorry, so James Richard, I hope that answers your question a little bit. I'll think of something else, other misconceptions of guides. But while I do that, James has got something small to show you.
Size doesn't always matter, Byron. Yes, I do. We're very, very close to a little troop of dwarf mongoose that live inside this termite mound on or in the middle of the road here at Arathusa. And they are only sitting now a few meters from us, maybe 1.5 meters. That's just a few feet. Well, I can also hear a breeding herd of buffalo calling. Somewhere, probably close to Arathusa Dam. Isn't that nice? That's so sweet. I'm trying desperately to take a photograph, but I'm failing so horribly miserably. Dreadful. Louise says you'd love to see my photograph. David, don't be ridiculous. I'm definitely not showing you. David, of course, is my most stern critic. Not in an obvious way. What he does is I show him a photograph, you see, and he goes, that means that's the worst photograph I've ever seen. There you are, David. You can't see it, can you? No. I'm not that sad. Never mind. It's a picture of 3 mongoose. There we go. There we go. Very nice. There. You can't tell that they're completely out of focus. Thank you, Louise, very much for your kind comments. David's just gone. It sounds a little bit like he was just sick in his own mouth. I'll try one more, everyone. I am, of course, also being savaged by flies while I sit here. And my camera is finding focus on the road behind. Dreadful. I'm so brave. Mongoose, look here. Please. I beg you. Do you hear that? Choop, choop. Choop, choop. Ah, I got the backs of their heads. That's fantastic. Really good. I don't think... Wrong dialect of mongoose. Yeah, we're going to give up this little malarkey fairly soon. One last one. I'm going to make a kissy noise. Ha! Got you. Thanks, Dave. Yeah. It's my goal every week, everyone, to have 7 photographs that I can post, 1 per day. And I was looking through them. I had 7. I thought I had 7 last night. And I was showing my colleagues, David, for example, around the fire, what I was going to post for the rest of the week. And out of the 7 or so that I had, I showed them to David, and he looked at one. He said, well, that one's okay. And then he just didn't say anything about any of the others. So I'm going to delete them and try again. Right, on we go. Watch our little mongoose. I can raise no one on the Arathusa radio. I think they've probably gone in to have their breakfast already. Sounds quite a good idea, doesn't it, Dave? Delicious breakfast. Followed by some more abuse at the photographs I'll show you. It's fair enough. As Brian often says to me, you must be able to take it if you give it. And I have been known to give it in my time. Let me just fix the aerial. It's looking a little wayward. I watched myself the other day. We had a feedback session on Tuesday, and I conducted an entire sighting and answered about 3 or 4 questions while moving the aerial with this selfie stick, and I didn't mention it once. It must have been the most ridiculous thing to watch. Hello, Mist in Melbourne, Australia. You're interested in what cats we see here other than the obvious lion, leopard and cheetah. Well, Mist, you can potentially see African wildcat. We had an amazing sighting of one of them a little while back. Serval. David and I had an incredible sighting of a serval not too far back. They are they're just delightful. I mean, they are golden, stripy, spotted, tiny cats, well, about the size of a big house cat. Then you can potentially also see a caracal, and a caracal is a sort of red coloured, it's like a lynx basically. It's the African version of a lynx with those funny ear tufts and short legs. And that's about it. Apparently it's almost possible to see a black-footed cat here, but I think that's mainly off in the desert regions that you'll see a black-footed cat. So it'd be African wildcat, caracal, and serval would be the other 3 cats potentially that you could see here. Not common at all though to see any of those. They are around. Caracal probably less so than the other 2, but they're so secretive that we just seldom see them. Right, well, we're out of Arathusa and we're knocking about sort of Sindile's stomping ground, but we don't know where he is at the moment. We haven't had any sight of him. So we always drive past here hoping to see him. Sindile, for those of you who don't know, I know that there's some new viewers, 20-year-old male leopard who's just been reintroduced to this area after some rehab. And he was in rehab because he caught a dog that had rabies. But he was quarantined and he was darted and he seems to be fine, so they reintroduced him with a collar on. And we've just had a question from Florida, whose name I'm afraid I missed. Billy Joe in Florida. You're interested in what they're going to do with the collar. So the collar seems to run out of batteries, or it's gone flat, and so it's not pinging his location anymore. And Billy Joe you want to know what are they going to do? Will they dart him again and redo the batteries or something like that? Billy Joe, there's talk of doing that. I hope very much that they won't. I hope that they will leave him alone. I hope that that collar will fall off, and that'll be the last we ever see of it. It was absolutely necessary to have it when he was reintroduced. It doesn't matter that it stopped working now that he's... I mean, how long has he been back? He's been back about 6 weeks, I think. I think it maybe would be nice if it had lasted as long as 3 months, but I think the trauma and stress of redarting him and redoing the thing will not be ideal for the leopard. There is a steenbok over there that is thinking about running away. Well, we got it at least, David. At least we got a little look at the steenbok. Now, as I say that, I look down to the ground and I see the tracks of a lady leopard. And I think those are most likely Shadow. She's probably left her youngster somewhere around and she's been patrolling here. Alright everybody, that's going to be it from me. Thank you David for your efforts today. Well done, and well done surviving the attack from your earphones. Big thanks to Luisi and to Chelsea Byrne in the final control. We're going to head you back to Byron for the last 3 minutes of his particular stint at Wild Earth.
Looks like it. What's the time? Oh dear, my bloody thing, I didn't... my thing was unplugged. What was she saying? Anything? Nothing good. Oh shit. Oh yeah. I just saw some leopard tracks here. I just wanted to mark it just before we lose you, or before the end of broadcast. We had so we've been following Wiem and I've just been following these leopard tracks, but they cut off. But I'm sure we will try and track a little bit later and maybe have a male leopard. It's of a big male leopard. Hopefully we have another sign of male leopard for you this afternoon. That's exciting. We saw some fresh dung, so we were looking very carefully, but we are running out of time, so I won't be able to show you a leopard now, or male leopard now, but like I say, maybe this afternoon. And so Natasha, thank you very much for your comment, and I'm going to miss everyone here. It was my last drive this morning. It was a great week with everybody. I hope you've all enjoyed it as much as I have. I'm sure I will be back sometime soon to help out whenever they need me. And a big thank you to the team. It's been really great. Thank you to all the ladies in the FC, all the cameramen, Wiem and I this morning. Thanks, Wiem. And thank you to James especially. He's been helping me out a lot, getting to know the area and what's going on around here with the animals. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm sure I will see you all again soon. But a big thank you to the viewers. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the questions. And it really is incredible to be able to take a game drive and show so many thousands of viewers all over the world. And it's been a lot of fun. But like I say, this was only 1 week of many to come, I'm sure, and I'm sure I will see you in the future again, especially with the growth of Wild Earth and Safari Live. Don't forget, there is still game drive this afternoon. James will still be out. I think Steph or Jamie will be taking the afternoon drive. And thank you again to all the ladies in the FC, the voices in my head, I like to call them. It's always great for them to feed the questions through. We will chat to you soon. From myself, Byron and VM, thank you, goodbye, enjoy your day, and we'll chat to you soon. Bye-bye.